Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Original Mets Guys podcast for episode 3. Today we have our first guest, Brady, the head guy admin of the Metnews account on Instagram. How are we doing, Brady?
Doing good, ready to talk some Mets. Like I said, I appreciate you guys having me on, and let's do it. I'm excited.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
No problem.
We're going to have a good time, and again, this episode is sponsored by shoptheshirt.com. Go to shoptheshirt.com, put in the OMG pod, and get 5% off on your order. So, Brady, I want to ask you, just do a quick introduction of yourself. Tell everybody where to find you, your Instagram account, and then after that, list your top 5 Mets of all time.
For sure. So my name is Brady. I am the founder and owner of Metnews on Instagram. Almost at 50K, so appreciate everybody following. Basically, just post content related to the Mets, post games, lineups, off-season news, and all that. And I'm excited to be on and just continue to grow the platform and converse passionately with other Met fans. And let's do it.
Yeah, actually, Brady, I have something to pick apart with one of your posts. Actually,
go ahead.
Your off-season wish list.
Yes.
Right. You have re-signing Juan Soto, which everyone agrees with.
Yep.
Re-sign Pete Alonso, we all agree with. Number 3 on your wish list, I got to pick you apart on.
Yeah.
Trade for Devin Williams.
Yep.
I don't want him.
Is there a reason why?
I think he is a head case, and I don't think that we need a head case. If you remember a few years back, he had a bad outing, went and punched a fire hydrant or something, broke his hand, was out for the rest of the playoffs, right? Gives up the bomb to the polar bear to sink his team. I just don't want a head case who can't deliver a pitch in a big spot in Milwaukee to pitch in New York.
I think it's a fair argument. I think for me, though, I look at him, he's one of the best, if you want to put him as a closer or reliever in baseball. But I mean, like you said, those reasons are valid to point out because he did have this incident where he punched the wall and he was out for, I think maybe it was half the season. But the other thing, too, is why it might be less likely now is because the cost is going to be a lot. Maybe as a deadline move, it will be a little bit less cheaper. But right now, it's going to cost you prospects. So I think Stearns will probably go on the free agent market to upgrade the bullpen. But if we got him, I would be pretty stoked. I do think he would be elite. And I think for the setup man for Diaz, it would be a very good duo.
Yeah, I mean, you have both your cases, right? Because it's going to be expensive. And like you said, I don't think that Stearns wants to trade prospects now, especially after, all the Soto questions of, the farm systems and stuff like that, all that came out. I don't see the Mets trading for anybody that has to do with prospects. And then also, Father, like you said about he's a nut. He is a little bit of a nut. So, I mean, I think he would be great to have, but I can also see why you don't want him. But I agree. I think he would be a phenomenal setup man to have,
Give me Static back. As much as I'm not excited about Estevez as you are, Israel, I'll take him. Put a couple of other pieces in there. But I don't know. I just don't want Devin Williams. Just my little
I'll say this because I want to look back on it when the time comes. If the Mets could bring back David Robertson, I would actually like that. He's been pretty consistent the last few years. He's actually had a great career. So if they brought him back, I would not be surprised.
And I don't think he'd be supposed to come back. Actually, I do like that one. So okay, I'm giving you grief for Devin Williams, but I'll give you props for David Robinson.
I'll take it. I made up for it.
All right, so let's move on to your top 5 Mets of all time.
So I thought about this, and obviously a couple of players on the list I haven't got to witness to play, but just for their impact for the organization, I'm going to throw them on there. My number 1 is Tom Seaver, franchise. For me, number 2 is Mike Piazza, loyal follower on Metnews, great guy, but just what he's done for the team in the city, especially the home run after 9/11, is definitely a huge reason. Number 3, David Wright, have to, the captain. And I might get a little bit of, people might disagree with me on this one, but I didn't really get to see Jose Reyes play that much, like in 2006 and all that. I was at the time 4 years old. So for my number 4, it's going to be Jacob deGrom, and number 5, Jose Reyes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
What about you guys?
So we did this in our pilot episode. We did our top 5. I had David Wright number 1, actually, because because of his statistical, lead and everything. And I think I had Tom Seaver, Mike Piazza, Dwight Gooden, and Darryl Strawberry. Azriel, you had Seaver,
Doc Gooden,
Dwight, Mike Piazza,
DeGrom, and then I had Darryl Strawberry. Looking back on it, I probably should have David Wright in that 4 spot instead of Darryl Strawberry.
With DeGrom.
No, because DeGrom was my 4.
So in the 5 spot.
In my 5 spot, I should have put David Wright instead of Darryl Strawberry.
I base it more just kind of for me that I'm more aware of the players and have more history on them. Like, obviously, I never get to see Seaver pitch, but I mean, for me, I didn't get to see Doc and Darryl, so I feel like it's not right for me to put him in my top 5.
Okay. It's funny. I like that you threw in Jose Reyes because he belongs in the discussion. I think ultimately, if from guys in my age, right, and then you obviously have the generation before me. They saw Tommy Agee and they saw Rusty Staub and George Foster and Bud Harrelson play, Mookie Wilson, all these guys. Jose Reyes, I think, is going to be in that discussion with all those critical guys. And you can make an argument, right? You can make an argument that he's going to be in the top 10 on multiple lists. It's interesting to hear a guy, I don't know how old you are, you don't have to share, but to hear a guy in your generation saying Jose Reyes top 5, because I don't think you're wrong, for saying if you're judging just by the guys that you've watched and seen him play, Jose Reyes in these last 25 years, definitely top 5.
No, for sure. And I'm 22, so I'm fairly young.
Okay. All right, cool.
So let's move on to get our reactions on a couple of recent MLB transactions. And really the earliest one, the first one, is the Angels signing Travis d'Arnaud. What do we think about that?
My first thought, I mean, good for d'Arnaud. I think he really has panned out a really good career. I mean, ever since he left the Mets, he really had a great job with the Braves. And he's got a nice 2-year deal. I think it was worth $12 million, if I'm not mistaken. But honestly, I look at these Angels moves, because I'll start talking about Soler and all that, and they got Kyle Hendricks, is they couldn't win with Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. So are they going to win with Soler and d'Arnaud? I mean, they spent money so far this offseason. They've been the most active team. I just don't see it. If they get an ace, if they get Max Fried, they get Corbin Burns, they might try for Sasaki, possibly. I can't see them being a contending team. They do the same thing every year. And if they can't win with Trout and Ohtani, they're not going to win with Soler and d'Arnaud.
They're definitely not game changers, right? I like the moves. I like d'Arnaud. First of all, I think he's going to be a mentor to Logan O'Hoppe, right? Which they definitely need. He's going to fit in there. He's going to get some playing time, and like you said, like he's great. He's put together a really solid career. Unfortunately, it was after he left the Mets. But listen, we got Syndergaard. Syndergaard did really well for us. But I like their moves. I do like the Hendricks move, the Carl Hendricks move. I do like this the Kikuchi move. And Soler, he's I don't love him, but he does well. What they're reminding me of and what they seem to be doing reminds me a lot of what the Royals did last year. Getting all these small pieces to try to put together a cohesive unit. You're right, they didn't win with Trout and Ohtani and Rendon. Thank God.
Well, let me rephrase that. They didn't even make the playoffs with Ohtani and Trout.
Right. Yeah, no, they sucked. They're terrible. So the fact that they're not looking to get like the biggest names out there, the fact that they got aggressive and got Kikuchi, the fact that they made a move for d'Arnaud, Soler, Hendricks, and there was another person that they got, another player they got, complimentary player. Forgot who it is right now. It'll come back to me. Maybe not. Probably not. When you get to my age, things just come and go very quickly. But I think the moves that they're making are reminding me a lot of what the Royals did last year, and I think that the fact that Artie Moreno is forget, let's not just try to buy the biggest guys, put together some good pieces. I do like what they're doing. Are they going to make the playoffs? They're still several moves away.
Yeah,
I agree.
and I wonder if they went out and got these pieces just to trade them away to build towards a rebuild, have them show that they can play and put up a good season, in LA, and then or in Anaheim, and then trade them away and get some good prospects for them. That way, they build to a nice little rebuild, and that's why that's another thing that I can see them doing with these kind of pieces.
For sure.
The other thing that happened, staying in the West Coast, was the big news that Snell signed with the Dodgers, right? So in our predictions last week, I thought he would stay in California. I thought he actually may go to the Padres, but I thought the Giants and Dodgers were there. What do you think about the deal, and what do you think about how that affects them with regard to Max Fried, Walker Buehler, Jack Flaherty, and of course, do you think it impacts Juan Soto?
First of all, I think the move is great for them. I mean, they have a super rotation now. They're going to have Ohtani going to be able to pitch for the first time in the Dodger uniform this upcoming season. Yamamoto, Glass now, possibly Kershaw. They have Bobby Miller, Dustin May. So their rotation is lethal from top to bottom. Right. I'm not surprised by the deferrals. The Dodgers are close to $1 billion in deferrals. I do think guys like Flaherty and Buehler are going to be they're free agents, so I think they're going to go elsewhere. For Sasaki, though, I'm a little interested to see if he does go there because their rotation right now is set to be a six-man rotation. Unless they're going to trade Dustin May or Bobby Miller, I think Sasaki's going to go elsewhere. I honestly think he can end up going to San Diego to team up with Yu Darvish because a lot of people have talked about, he goes to the Dodgers, it's the easy way out. But, I mean, the kid's, I think, 23. And don't forget, all the teams are with international money, so it's in the same realm of $2 million, 2.5 around there. So I think it changes the equation for them. I do think he'll end up going to San Diego. It will be a West Coast team. I mean, I would love him in Queens, but I think the big factor is Japan and California being so close. It's a huge advantage for these teams to sign these stars.
Yeah, don't forget Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle too is a good one too. So I do think it will either be the Giants, Angels, and Padres is my top three, and the Dodgers, of course. But like I said, the Blake Snell signing might take them out, but we'll see.
Yeah, and like in regards to Sasaki, like you said before in one of our previous episodes, whether it was the pilot or if it was the first episode, last episode, you said that you think Sasaki won't go to the Dodgers to try and go build his own legacy and not follow and be in the shadows of Yamamoto or Ohtani.
Yeah, so I did say that, but I said I don't know his person. I don't know him. I don't know his personality. I don't know if he's the type of guy that's going to want to kind of create his own path and create his own thing. So that's if he is that type of person, I do see that affecting the Dodgers in terms of getting him because he may not want to be with Yamamoto and Ohtani, and he may want to just forge his own legacy. Or begin to forge his own legacy. Like Brady said, he's 22, 23 years old. But I don't know now with this because I still believe that Max Fried is heading to the Dodgers, right? So now if Max Fried is heading to the Dodgers, right, and that's kind of like with the Snell signing so early, I'm like, wait a minute, am I misreading that? I think it's more likely that they go after Max Fried than Sasaki, unless Sasaki's willing to pitch out of the bullpen for a little bit.
My prediction, I think, is Max Fried will end up in Boston. I think Corbin Burns or Max Fried will end up going to Boston, but I do think Corbin Burns will end up being the Mets' clear ace. But I do think Boston will get a clear-cut ace this offseason, and I think it's going to be Max Fried.
Oh, okay.
And with the Dodgers signing Snell, I think the only other starting pitcher or big name starting pitcher that they're going to get is going to be Sasaki. I think that eliminates them from pretty much all the other big name starting pitchers out there, and I think it also eliminates them from any other real big name players out there. Besides them re-signing everybody like they did with Tommy Edman, and of course they deferred money there. I don't know if we know how much money is deferred in that contract, but what are we thinking about the deferrals, and does that need to calm down?
I mean, I think next CBA they're going to have to implement some type of rule because every contract virtually seems like the Dodgers are deferring money. Ohtani one was $680, Blake Snell, I mean Mookie Betts too. All these guys up and down, they're just deferrals. It's let's say they're not breaking any rules, and honestly, it benefits the teams. They're getting more money on its interest or collecting interest on it. But at the end of the day, it's got to be a limit. Like I was listening to a podcast, and one of the agents brought up a good point that no other teams do it. The Dodgers are the most consistent team that do it. Maybe more teams should start doing it. Like I said, there's going to be a limit, and there has to be.
Yeah, so first of all, this deferral thing is not new, right? There's a particular former Met, that every July 1st, right, gets $1.9 million, $1.19 million, whatever it is, right? So the deferments go way back when, right? The question becomes is, should there be a limit to it, right? And I think the fact that like Ohtani's money has been deferred for as long as it, the amount that's been deferred, I should say, right, is so much. I think that'll be an issue that will be renegotiated by on the CBA, and I would like to see them say that you can defer money, but you have to make 51% of your money during the term of your contract, right? There has to be at least 51% of your money being made while you're playing ball. You can't defer $600 million, 10 years after you're done. I mean, it's not 10 years after you're done. It's after his contract expires. But I do think that something has to be done. But this isn't new. I did see something. I forgot where it was. Just listing all the players with deferred money across baseball. It's common, but the fact that it's become so aggressive, it's not. Everyone was saying that Blake Snell was going to get around 5 years, 150, somewhere in the 140, 150 range. The fact that he got 182 is because they were able to defer that money. So good, so the players are going to love it. They're not going to want it to change. The question is going to be, will the owners be able to make a case for it to put a limit on it? But as a fan, I would like to see some sort of limit done on deferrals. But I think the Tommy Edman move is nothing. It's an extension that kind of just puts him on the team as a utility player that'll be there for a while. The question is, do you guys think that this rules out the Dodgers for Soto?
I think the Dodgers were never really in play for Soto, and especially now with who they signed and how much money they've already spent and how much money they've already deferred. Like Brady said, I think now, by the way, with the Edman deal, I think they are at $1 billion deferred. So I think they were never real contenders anyways. But that's just my thoughts there.
Are we jumping into Soto?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do that then.
I could sit here for hours and talk about the Soto sweepstakes, and I'll briefly break down each team. For me, I do think the Mets make the most sense, and I'm going to break down each team. So for the Yankees, I just don't see them going to 700. The other team in New York.
The sewer jar.
Yeah, I'll say the other team in New York. We'll say the other team in New York. I can't see them going to 700, and if George Steinbrenner was still here, he would be a Yankee. Hands down, he would be a Yankee for life. But with Hal Steinbrenner, though, the team across there. So
you're a guest. We'll forgive you.
But for Hal Steinbrenner, I don't think it's in his blood, and he already said they don't want to go over the luxury tax. So I can't see them coming close to Steve Cohen. For Toronto, there's too much uncertainty with Vlad. And I think if they do bring in Soto, I think it's going to be a little bit harder for them to lock up Vlad. But with the Canadian dollar, the taxes out of the U.S., I just can't see it. For the Red Sox, in a span of 5 years, they finished last in the AL East 3 times, which I don't think that's going to sway him. I know that he said he's reportedly grew up a Red Sox fan. I don't know how true that is, but I just can't see him going there. It would be a great duo with Devers and Soto, but I think he's comfortable in New York. For the Dodgers, they met with him. What are they going to say? Oh, we won the World Series. Everybody knows what the Dodgers are. They're a dynasty. They continue to build it. I don't think they're that serious either. I think that they're going to end up re-signing Teoscar Hernandez. And then for me, with Cohen, I think Soto's got friends here. Lindor, Alvarez, Marte. And Soto might have said, what's the plan after you sign me? Steve Cohen's money. He's going to get Corbin Burns. He's going to upgrade the bullpen. Hopefully they re-sign Alonso. And the other thing, too, that's not talked about enough is Juan Soto's numbers at Citi Field are absolutely ridiculous. That's the biggest thing, too, is that he could hit. I mean, guy could hit. He's 26. Right. But in this ballpark, his numbers, I think he hits over 300. It's insane. Right. And I think starting tomorrow, the sweepstakes are going to intensify. And I think going December 8th, 9th is when we're going to find a decision out. And I do think it's going to be the Mets.
Yeah, and going back to what you said about the other team in New York, I think a report came out earlier today or later last night saying that they're not going to they're not going to exceed $600 or $550.
$550.
Right, $550 or whatever it is. And I agree. I don't think Hale is going to give anything near what Steve's going to give. I think at the beginning of this, I thought it was going to be between the Mets and the other team across town. Now I really do think it's going to be the Mets and the Red Sox. I don't see the Mets being outbid for him, and I know a lot of people are saying, well, maybe it's not all about money, blah blah blah. It's all about money.
100%.
If Steve Cohen gives him 15 years, $705 million, he's going to be a Met. And in my prediction, I said he's going to get 15 years, 710, just because I think Scott Boras is a weasel and he's going to squeeze every last dime out of Steve Cohen. So I think it's going to be some ridiculous contract.
Yeah, I've been saying from the beginning, this is a done deal in my book. It's a done deal. Soto will be wearing number 22 on the New York Mets, right? Brett Beatty. I'm gonna guess we'll get traded as a part of one of those deals, so his number will be available, right? Jose Siri, which I want to talk about him in a minute, but Jose Siri will wear number 19. He already said that he'll wear 19 if he can't wear number 22. The report that you're referring to, Azrael, is this? It was a reporter from the other New York team who covers the other New York team on The Fan, saying that he doesn't see that team going over 550, and he thinks they're going to fall fourth in the sweepstakes. So he says it's going to be between the Mets and the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays as the dark horse. It's going to be the Mets. I've never been so confident about a free agent acquisition in baseball ever than I am about Juan Soto on the Mets. Now, if he doesn't sign with the Mets, I'm going to look so stupid. So, Juan, don't make me look stupid. Another
thing that everybody has to realize really quickly that is if Soto does sign with the Red Sox, that is the next best option, right? He's going to be out of the NL and he's going to be off the other team in New York, right? So,
and playing against them.
And playing against them too. And then also you don't have these annoying Bronx people sticking, puffing their chest at you. Like, oh, we have Soto, blah, 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 this and that. They're still a sorry franchise. But yeah, I agree. Soto's going to be a New York Met.
I want to add. Oh, okay, but you're good.
No, go ahead.
I want to say, don't feel bad if we don't get him because I think every Met fan has him coming here. So I think you'll be forgiven if he doesn't come here. I have him coming here too. The other thing too is that a lot of the Yankee fans I see on Twitter and social media is they're like, why would Juan Soto want to go to the Mets? I mean, let's look at the way the season went. They started off terribly. They had a great run after the Grimace first pitch. They went to the NLCS, and I think that was huge to really sway him to come here. But at the end of the day, it is going to come down to money. I think he's going to break the record in AAV, or present day value, total contract length, which I think is 14 by Tatis right now, and then the overall contract worth, which is going to be 700 plus.
I actually think it won't hit a 7. I don't think it'll hit a 7, but I'm just saying that I've already told there are a couple of fans of the team of the Bronx in my neighborhood who know that I bleed blue and orange, and I've told them already that I will buy them a Soto Mets jersey once he signs, and I did, and I think it's going to be before December 8th. I think it'll be before the winter meetings. I think we may hear something this week.
The good thing is, though, the good thing for Yankee fans is that Soto doesn't have the last name on the jersey; it's just a number, so it's all good.
Yeah. So that's So that's really where I think things are with Juan Soto. I said last week that I thought we'd hear some breaking news over this weekend, right? And boom, yesterday, that reporter on the Fan came out with the thing that he thinks is between the Mets and the Red Sox. I think by this
Hold on.
time next week.
You said last episode that he's going to make a decision last week. So you
No,
were wrong.
I said we're going to hear some significant rumblings, and I wouldn't be surprised if he signed. All right, but the rumblings I was confident about. I'm saying now, here we go. All right, that this time next week, I believe Juan Soto will be a New York Met.
I also want to add one more thing to it. If that report is true, because I do think he is a beat writer for the team across town, I can't see him. I mean, obviously, there are no team's going to outbid Cohen. I can't see him not coming here. Like, I honestly think it's a done deal at this point, honestly.
Right. And one more thing, just a lot of people, and especially the people on the chat, that we're on, they're freaking out about not hearing any leaks from the Mets side.
Good point.
Everybody's got to realize has to realize something really quickly. Steve Cohen does everything very quietly, very professionally, and doesn't leak a lot. You look back at previous deals, you look back at the Scherzer deal, you look back at the Verlander deal, you look back at the Francisco Lindor extension, Carlos Correa. You look back at all these past free agent big moves. We didn't really hear anything until we heard something. I made a tweet, which was because of something you said, saying that you wouldn't be surprised if Scott Boras is leaking all this information to try and bump Steve Cohen.
No doubt. Scott Boras, you gotta love him and hate him. He's a genius and he's a scumbag, right? He knows how to play the media. He knows how to play the emotions of he's been working with these owners and these GMs for decades, right? He knows them. He knows what motivates them. All these mystery teams. Oh, mystery team for this guy, mystery team for that guy. It's all Scott Boras leaking stuff here and there, right? That report that the Yankees upped their offer, right? Who would know that? The only people that would know that is Scott Boras and the New York Yankees.
Oh, $5 in the jar.
But we didn't bring the small jar. We didn't bring the jar.
That jar's gonna be filled to the top pretty soon.
Oh my god!
I also want to
we're gonna give some money at some point to Steve to help him bring over. So we're gonna have that much money.
I gotta ask you guys a question. Who do you think will break the news first?
It'll be passing, like as always. I think there'll be some random dude who's going to say something not knowing anything, and then 20 minutes later, Passon's going to say Soto to the Mets.
It's going to be a
press release. Shaking your head.
It's going to be a press release from the Mets.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I honestly, if Steve Cohen wants to announce it himself, I'm down for that. I honestly think Heyman's going to break it first. He gets all of his information fed by Scott Boras, so I think he'll be the first one to break it.
Okay.
I am so excited but I need it to end.
I'm glad you brought that up, Azrael. I'm glad you brought that up because all these leaks, we have to realize that this is just negotiation tactics, moves, and Steve Cohen and Azrael, you nailed it. I'm proud that you're my son, right? Steve Cohen does not leak anything. He doesn't want people that leak things. All the moves that he's made have just boom. They've just come, right? They out of nowhere, right? Even the Lindor trade, right? Before the extension, right? That came out of nowhere. So it's a good point. The fact that we're hearing nothing from the Mets is a great indicator. And again, Juan Soto, by this time next week, before the winter meetings, will be a New York Met.
Yeah, I think it'll be a week or two after the winter meetings that he signs. I think No, I think Scott's going to drag it as long as he possibly could. The only reason why, the only thing I see why he would sign a little bit earlier is because Scott might want to focus on his other clients instead of putting all of his focus into Juan Soto. But anyways, let's move on. Unless you have one more thing to say.
Yeah, I want to just get one more thing. Is what are your contract predictions on it? Like over in years and total contract worth. What do you guys got?
I think it'll be a 15-year contract with at least 2 opt-outs. Because I remember seeing a report saying that Juan wants some opt-outs, and if you remember that leak of a Mets initial contract offer that came out that had 4 opt-outs in it plus a mutual option. So I think it'll be 15 years, at least 2 opt-outs with a mutual option.
Yeah, I think I don't think that much different. I definitely think he'll have an opt out before his age 30 season. And maybe one other at some point, but I'm thinking around 14,650. 14 years, 650. Somewhere in that range, 46, 47 AAV. And him and his grandkids will be set.
I'm on the other side of the rope. I honestly think Scott Boras wants to break the record, and I think he will. I'm going to honestly say I think 15, 7-10 is my guess.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't know what the offers are, but I think you said it on one of your episodes. You're like, if it takes $25 billion, whatever, get it done.
Yes.
For me, there is no plan B. It's Soto, Soto, Soto. That's plan A through Z for me, is get Soto.
Right. So let me ask you. So where does Pete fall into all this?
He needs to be a career Met. I can't see him in any other jersey. I just can't. And honestly, I think Steve Cohen knows that. I mean, don't get me wrong. If we get Soto and Alonso walks, it's hard to be mad. But I think Cohen knows how much he's beloved here. And I think it's more than just him being a career Met. He's going to break the home run record. I think the RBI record as well. And I want players who want to be here. And throughout the past 2 years, going back to the 23 season and 24, Alonso has said he wants to be a career Met. And to be quite honest with you, if Soto does come here, maybe he takes a discount. I know Scott Boras is not known for that, but if he wants to come back to play with Lindor again and play with Soto for the first time, maybe we see him get a little bit of a cheaper deal.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said that if the Mets sign Juan Soto, Pete Alonso will come back on something that he said he wants 200. He's probably not going to get 200, but he'll probably come back to us on a much cheaper deal because he wants to be a Met. He said he's want to be a Met, and he'll see the winnings, and he's going to want to come back.
Yeah, listen, I don't think he's going to take less money. I think he's going to get paid what he wants to get paid, which I think is somewhere between. I said this last episode. It's somewhere between maybe a little bit more than Matt Olson and Freddie Freeman, and I think he'll get it. And maybe he'll have an opt out, in a couple of years just to renegotiate his contract. We went, me and Israel and two other guys, his brothers, my 2 other boys. We went to game 160 in Milwaukee, right?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and the Mets won, and that was a must-win game for them to be able to go back to Atlanta to win. And Steve and Alex Cohn was sitting a section over from us. Right?
Oh, wow.
As soon as the game was over, right, we booked over, right, snapped some, said hello, snapped some selfies with them, and I said to Alex Cohn, "You got to bring back Pete." And you know what she said to me?
We're gonna do it.
We're trying.
All right.
Right.
Yeah.
So in other words, they want him. He wants to be here. He loves New York. He loves the fans. Like I said, I'm only afraid of some team just blowing his mind with some, with a contract that will start with a 2, and that's my only fear. But I definitely think that he's going to come back. What I said last week also was I think when Steve Cohen met with Boras it was to tell him that we're signing a bunch of your players, right? We're going to sign a bunch of players, including the guy who you can't get a contract for, right? I'll sign him too, and let's work this out. So I think Pete, I think Soto, and I think Corbin Burns, because he's a part of that package, will be donning blue and orange next year. But what about Jesse Winker? I know this is weird. We go from these guys to Jesse Winker and Harrison Bader. And the reason why I'm asking is because of Jose Siri. Jose Siri, the Mets got for that reliever Eric Orzo
whatever his name was.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't think we gave up much, but I don't think we got much. I think we got a poor man's offensive Jesse Winker, and we got a poor man's defensive Harrison Bader. Now, some people will disagree with me.
I disagree with you. I think he's defensively better than Harrison Bader.
I agree.
He's defensively better than Harrison Bader. I think his numbers also show that he's defensively better than Harrison Bader. He's fast as hell.
He's faster than all of them, yeah.
Right, and he does. He's not as good as a hitter as Jesse Winker, but he does have some pop, and he's a much better hitter than Harrison Bader.
I would be pretty disappointed if the Jose Siri move means Winker does not come back. I loved Winker, loved his fire, and another guy who wants to be here. Everybody wants to come here, it seems like. I hope that's not the case, but you look at it, if they do sign Soto, it's a pretty jam-packed outfield, so maybe just he doesn't come back, which would stink, but maybe they move one of the guys. Maybe Marte gets moved. I don't know. But I would like for Winker to come back, and I hope they bring him back. I hope the Siri move doesn't affect that.
Yeah, so I think it does. I think by getting Siri, they are moving on from Winker and moving on from Harrison Bader. And I agree with you. Harrison Bader had some pretty clutch moments for the Mets this season, but he's expendable. Winker didn't do so great as a Met, but he had some pretty big hits, right? That walk off where he slams his helmet, in August over there,
Baltimore
against Baltimore,
yeah.
Right? He had some pretty big hits for the Mets, but overall didn't do great. But listen, he loves it here. He always loved it here. Right? When he was with the Reds, that whole waving situation,
Yeah.
he loved it here. But I just don't see any of that. Now that Jose Siri is here, I don't see, unless for some crazy reason, Juan Soto ends up in Boston, then maybe. But then we get some other problems.
I know you said that you weren't a huge fan of Siri's offensive game, which I agree. I mean, yeah, he has some pops, he'll have some clutch hits. But the one thing, though, is that this is what I like about Stearns, is these under-the-radar type moves. With Harrison Bader, I think they got him for $10.5 million. Siri's only making 2.5, and he's controllable for 3 more years. So just like that, Bader's gone. I knew he was gone from the start. And they find his replacement via trade, and it's for a cheaper guy and a guy who's controllable who brings elite defense and a great arm and speed.
I don't think that this move means that Winker's gone. I think that Winker's probably going to want something that the Mets aren't going to give him, and that's why he's going to be gone. I don't think this is the move that says that he's gone. I think that he brings a fire to this team. Everybody needs that villain. Everybody needs a villain. And Jesse Winker is that villain. I think the only reason why he wouldn't be a Met next year is if he wants something that the Mets won't give.
For sure.
Yeah. The other 2 moves that the Mets made so far was all minor league contracts with invites to spring training. Joey Meneses and Genesis Cabrera. Genesis Cabrera, I think, could be a piece in the bullpen. Right. The problem with him is that I don't think he's had a season where he didn't average 10 walks per 9 innings, right? And which is, I mean, if you can't hit him, but he'll walk you in.
And that would be feeding into the pitching problem that we had last year about just walking a whole bunch of people. Also, another thing about Genesis Cabrera is that he tackled. Remember that brawl we had in St. Louis a couple years back?
Yes, with Alonso.
Right. Genesis Cabrera tackled Pete Alonso, which is just a funny thing to think about.
Okay, well, that's some
I
rough.
like the move. I do like the move. I mean, if that number is true about the walk rate per nine, then that does concern me. But I think he had a pretty solid year last year with Toronto, if I'm not mistaken. So that's another move that's an under the radar, and he'll have a chance to come out of spring to try to make the team. And
Yeah,
I'm
no, so
excited for that move. I like it.
I do. I do think that's a good move, and I think at the end of the day, like if he can, if he's had a long enough career for us to know that he's going to walk people, but he'll get people out, right? So we'll have to sweat. In the sixth, seventh inning, we're going to have to sweat a little bit, right? But
As we always do, though.
And I do think he's going to make the team. By the way, I do think he's going to make Joey Meneses, right? I mean, whatever. I think that's the type of move where he'll come up to when Marte goes on the IL, right, in May, right? Joey Meneses will come up, for a couple weeks, go down, and they'll come up. But like, I don't get that. The DFAs that happened. They DFA'd Alex Ramirez, who was a stud prospect, who unfortunately his career is probably over. Never panned out. Alex Young, who pitched well for us, and Grant Hartwig, who is young enough that I'm actually a little disappointed that we DFA'd him, because I like Grant Hartwig. I like his stuff. I like what he had, and I thought that he could put it together and be an option in the bullpen. But it seems like he's gone. Let me get your thoughts on those DFAs.
Honestly, like for me, I mean, I was a little surprised by Alex Ramirez. I thought they would have kept giving him a try, or maybe throw him in a trade. But for Grant Hartwig, I was never a huge fan of him. I mean, I think they found him when he was studying for the MCAT or something. So, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of him. Alex Young, he pitched well. He was a good lefty. But going into the postseason, I wasn't a fan of either Youngs, Danny Young or Alex Young. They just weren't reliable. Once Brooks Raley went down, Mets never had a reliable lefty. So I think it's a sign that they're going to start making moves, and they already did. Genesis Cabrera, there's a lefty right there they're going to try to throw into the bullpen. And going further on to that, I do think Brooks Raley could be a piece coming back. And
right.
Touching upon that, I can't think of a time where Brooks Raley had one bad outing for the Mets. He was consistently good. They picked him up via trade with the Rays. I think that was when Epler was here in 23. So, like I said, I think Stearns, what he detects when, I don't want to say garbage or bad, but when they're not doing what it's supposed to do, he cuts them quick, and he wants to revamp each spot in the team.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I'm not upset with any of these DFAs, to be honest. They weren't, like you guys both said, they just didn't pan out. And then, with going Brooks Raley, I think he's a guy that has to come back. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see him last year, but I do believe that he will be back. Yeah, and with Alex Ramirez, I also agree. I feel like we could have got something for him in a trade instead of kind of just kicking him to the curb.
But he was the guy. He was the guy that they held on to. That they wouldn't give up on trades for so long. Right. And then which by the way just shows at the end of the day, if you can get a sure thing over prospects, you go with the sure thing, right? That's why even for Garrett Crochet, Ryan Clifford, Ronnie Mauricio, Brett Beatty, any of the pitching prospects, take them. Give me Crochet.
I actually did a fake trade on Crochet, which blew up. And if I'm trying to remember, this was like a week ago or two. I think my trade was Beatty, Parada. I had Acuna in there, and I can't think of the last piece, frankly. It might have been a pitcher, but because nobody wants to move Acuna. And I want to touch on that real quick. Because a lot of people were saying that Acuna is the future of this team.
I have it, but I just pulled up your trade.
Yeah, so if you want, pull up the trade. Yeah,
Brett Beatty, Luis Angel Acuna. By the way, his name is very hard to say, so maybe that's
Luis Angel.
Luis Angel. I can't say it. I can't say his name. Luis Angel Acuna, Kevin Prada, and Mike Vasil. Which, by the way,
yes,
I like him, but you're gonna have to give up something for Crochet.
But for people who say that Acuna is the future, which he had a small sample size, I disagree with that because they were ready to trade him at the deadline. They were listening to the teams that wanted him. If he was the future, then they wouldn't even pick up the phone. I do think he's tradable. And people say, Garrett Crochet at the end of the year, he was limited to innings. He was limited to innings because there was no reason to pitch him. He went 4 innings, and He's going to get moved. One team will get him, and I think it's going to come down between the Mets and Red Sox. Buster only pointed that out, and I do think that's very true.
Yeah, and to your point about Luis Angel, he's definitely not going to be the future face of this franchise because Ronnie Mauricio is much better than him. He's got a better bat. He's got a better glove. Luis, and like you said, also we were looking to trade him too. So I would not mind if Luis Angel get traded. The only thing I would like to have them traded after we sign Soto, just because I don't want to trade them and scare Soto away.
Well, the other thing too with the trade is like people are saying we should take out Acuna and throw in McNeil. Why would the White Sox want that?
Yeah,
They wouldn't want it. And I mean, I love everybody engaging on the post. It was great. It blew up, and I got to interact with everybody and get their opinion. But no, they don't want it. They want to cut payroll even more. They're not taking on the Jeff McNeil contract, and I know we're not going to pick that up.
Listen,
also, McNeil has no value to him. That would not make any sense for anybody.
Yeah, listen, I think if the White Sox want McNeil and that they have to throw him in along with everybody you said or anyone who I thought, and we get Crochet, have at him. But yeah, the White Sox don't have a need for McNeil, and it's not. That's not the guy that's going to get moved in that deal.
Aside from that trade, I actually do like McNeil. I actually am a little reluctant to trade him. I do think there's some left in him to try to maybe replicate or come close to what he did in 2022. So I'm not so quick to move him. With his versatility, it's key for this team.
Yeah, I think he'll be a guy that if he's not performing, he'll get moved. He'll get moved by the trade deadline if he's not performing next year. But yeah, I wouldn't get rid of him so quickly either.
For sure.
I want to get your guys' thoughts. I saw a report earlier, maybe this week or last week, saying that the Mets are going to let Mike Vasile and a couple other guys go into the draft, the Rule 5 draft. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I think that's already done. I think that's why the whole DFAs of the reason why they opened up space with those DFAs was to put other guys on the roster who they were going to protect. So whoever is vulnerable to the Rule 5 draft is vulnerable to Rule 5 draft. I don't know if Vasile. There was another guy I think that was also another pitching prospect that was what's his name?
Hamill.
Thank you. Right. Yeah, I think they're vulnerable. They're vulnerable to the Rule 5 draft. Now the problem is that whoever drafts them, they have to be on their 40-man.
Yep.
Right. So, no, they have to be on the active roster. They have to be on the
MLB roster for the entirety of the season.
And I think Hamill's probably more ready than Vasile, but I don't think he's even that ready. So the question is, will the White Sox take a guy like that? They don't have enough pitching, or the Rockies, or one of those teams. But I'm not so nervous that those guys get picked up.
Neither am I. I was actually a little surprised by it because they were pretty valuable, and I think there was talk about maybe one of them getting promoted, but that wasn't the case. They're promoting Christian Scott and all that. So yeah, I was a little surprised. But like I said, I trust Stearns with really anything in this front office. He knows what he's doing. Look at the run they made last year. So I trust him on these moves.
I think if how old is Vasile? I think he's 25 now.
Probably 24, 25. I'm not sure.
Right. I think the reason he's not protected is because they kind of saw it's we don't really know. Do we really want to keep him on our 40-man and have room? Because he's been in the system for a little bit already. So I think that's the reasoning by not protecting him.
He's 24 years old.
24.
He'll be 25. He'll be 25 by opening day.
Okay.
So let's move on to the Hall of Fame ballot. If you can pull up a list.
Yeah, I have it. So I'll go through some players, and we'll start with the first timers, and then we'll move on to the guys who are coming back. Let me hear who you guys are voting. You only have 10 yeses, like the actual ballot. You only have 10 yeses, right? So let's start with Carlos Gonzalez, Cargo, from the Colorado Rockies.
No, I don't think.
Okay. No, that's a no. No.
Yeah, I agree.
Former Met Curtis Granderson.
It's a no. I love Curtis. One of my favorites all time on the Mets, but that's a no.
Yeah, you gotta love the brand, man. He just has he has not done enough.
Okay. Here's gonna be a tough call. Felix Hernandez, King Felix.
That's tough.
I agree. It's tough. I don't know if he gets it.
I'm thinking about all the success he had in Seattle, and then towards the end, he ended up going to Atlanta to pitch like very briefly, and the injuries.
He was done already by then.
Yeah, he was done at that point.
He had a perfect game. Did he have a Cy Young? I think
he had a perfect game. I believe he had a Cy Young, and I also think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I also think he threw a no-hitter or two. So I think he gets in. I give that my first yes.
You have to circle back to me on that. You got to come back to me.
Okay, no problem. I just want to see. I'm just pull up his stats for real quick. A career 342 pitcher, a 1.20 WHIP, and what were some of his awards? I don't know. Maybe he didn't win Cy Young. Did he win? I don't know.
You know what? I think maybe not on this ballot. Maybe in the next when the next time they do it. Maybe I think it's too soon in my opinion.
Okay. Adam Jones.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
He was fun to watch. But no.
Ian Kinsler. No.
That's
Russell Martin.
No.
Russell Martin.
No.
Do you think he gets a vote though?
Probably not. No, I don't think so.
Brian McCann.
No.
All right.
He's not giving nothing to anybody.
Dustin Pedroia.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right.
Yeah, I agree.
Azriel, yeah?
Yeah, I agree.
So you have two already, and you got one. Hanley Ramirez.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Azriel?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Fernando Rodney.
Is he correct me if I'm wrong, but he used to
Yeah, he did the whole
right?
Yeah.
K-Rod.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either, no.
CC Sabathia.
I'm gonna say no just because of the team he played for.
Yeah, he played for the Indians. He pitched for the Indians also.
I feel like I gotta fulfill my
That's who
yes.
you remember for.
I'll go yeah. I feel like I gotta fulfill my yes, so I'll say yes.
Okay. I say he's in the Hall of Good, not the Hall of Fame. Or maybe the Hall of Great, even, not the Hall of Fame. All right, this guy, I already know you guys are going to say no. But let me just say his name to say his name. Ichiro Suzuki.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a yes. I thought you were gonna say somebody random. I was like, what?
No. So he's going to be the second unanimous selection. I think he's going to be the second unanimous selection, along with Mariano. Troy Tulowitzki.
He could. It really depends on who's voting.
Hall of what ifs.
Yeah.
Hall of what ifs. What if he didn't get hurt? How good?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm going to say no.
Okay. And the last first-time ballot guy, first ballot Hall of Famer, Ben Zobrist?
No.
Okay. All right. Now the returnees. Bobby Abreu.
I say no.
I agree.
Okay. Carlos Beltran.
I've had so many arguments about this with my friends and buddies. I'm so tossed up between it. I'm honestly 50-50 on it. What do you guys think?
He's getting yes for me.
Yeah. Same here. I think he's in it.
Okay.
I'll throw him the yeah. I'll throw him a yes.
Okay. Mark Burley. This is a tough call.
No.
Yeah. No.
Okay. I lost it here. Here we go. Ready? Torrey Hunter.
Ooh. He was another. I think I only really got to watch him towards the end of his career, but he was He was another fun guy to watch play.
I'm going to say no.
Again, another guy in the Hall of really, really good, but not the Hall of Fame. Andrew Jones.
Oh, that's a yes for me.
Yeah. I don't know why he's not in it already.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. I'm with you guys on that one. Andy Pettit.
Ooh.
That's.
Did you say who?
I said no. I said ooh.
No, yeah.
Oh.
I don't. How many yeses am I? Am I at 4 or 5?
You're at. Well, did you give Beltran a yes?
I'll give Beltran a yes.
So you have 4.
I think I'm at 5, maybe 6. I don't know. What am I? Do you know what I'm at? Have you been counting for us?
Oh wait, no, sorry, 5. You have we both have Beltran and Andrew Jones.
Ichiro. That's 3.
You said Hanley Ramirez.
I said Hamley.
And you said Felix Hernandez.
I'll go yes. I'll go yes for Felix too.
All right, so 5 for Brady, 4 for Azrael.
I'm at 4. Yeah.
Andy
Andy
Pettit.
Pettit.
I don't think this time around. No.
I agree.
Okay.
I think he's also in the hall of really, really good.
Okay. Manny Ramirez.
Manny being Manny.
PED and all.
Yeah, I say yeah. I think the PEDs, especially now, has changed more because they're more strict on it. So I'm going yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but
A-Rod. Oh, sorry, Zuri.
Barry Bonds has to be in the Hall of Fame, and then
He's not.
I know. That's why I'm going to go
Neither is
no.
McGuire, neither is Sosa, neither is Clemens.
That's why I'm going to say no for Manny because the PED is clearly some big, no for the Hall of Fame. So I'm going to go no.
I think you were going to say A-Rod is the next one, right?
Yeah, A-Rod's the next one.
So, because I just gave yes to Ramirez. For me, my rule of thumb now is if you get caught with PEDs twice, you shouldn't get in. And A-Rod's been caught twice. So will he get in? Probably. Should he get in? No, because of that. So, I'll give it to him. I don't want to say no, but I'll have to give it to him.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll say yes for A-Rod as much as I don't like him.
I'm saying for the record, I'm saying no for A-Rod. I'm an old school purist where we don't talk about the drug use, and if you talk about it, then you're an embarrassment.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Francisco Rodriguez, K-Rod.
I think no. No.
I don't know much about K-Rod, I'll be honest, so I'm going to go no.
Okay. This guy, the next 2 guys I hated. Jimmy Rollins and Chase Utley. I'm putting them together, so I don't like.
Okay, first of all, Chase Utley can go kill himself, and we're not even going to. We all know, all 3 of us know what we're going to say.
That's a no for me. Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy Rollins, on the other hand, he was phenomenal.
Jimmy's a yes for me. Utley is a hell yes. No.
We're not even going to talk about the other guy.
All right, now this next guy, you guys aren't going to have an opinion on, but I have a very strong opinion on. Omar Vizquel. Hall of Famer for me. He's a Hall of Famer for me. I've seen him do things defensively. Offensively, not a Hall of Famer, but you have to look at both sides of the ball. He is a defensive Hall of Famer, and for that reason, he gets a check.
I'm not that familiar with him because it wasn't my time, so I'll have to say no. But the way you sound like you're making his defense seems like he was great, so I'm going to say no though.
Yeah, I'm with Brady there. I don't know much about him. I'm going to say no.
Okay, Billy Wagner.
This is tough.
So I'll tell you, I think Mariano got in, Trevor Hoffman got in. This is Billy Wagner's last year. He's going to get in. I think he missed like 4 votes last time. I think he's going to get in. I don't know if he is on the Trevor Hoffman, Lee Smith, Mariano level. He was so good. He was so good, but I'm not sure he's there. But yeah,
I'll say yes. If he
Yeah.
came up short, it's more likely he will get in. So I'm going to go yes.
I'm going to give him a yes also. I think I'm at 7 now.
okay. Now the last guy, the captain, David Wright.
It kills me to say it, but it's a no. Just the injuries killed him. It sucks to see, but just with the injuries, and if he was healthy, no doubt he would be in. But with the injuries, it's a no. It sucks to say.
So I'm going to give him a yes. And I'll say why. We talked about this, I think, in our pilot episode. David Wright leads almost every single category all time for the Mets. Even though, injuries killed him, I think he's done so much already before the injuries. I think it'll push him in.
I have a vote still, and I don't think he's going to make the Hall of Fame. I think he is in the Don Mattingly category of non-Hall of Famers. They should have deserved it, but the injuries were too much. But because I have a vote and he was a great person for baseball, yes, he is a Hall of Famer for me. So
Wow.
that's where we go. All right, Brady, now we got a game for you. All right, rank these 5 Hall of Fame guys on the ballot without knowing who comes next. First off, we just talked about him, Billy Wagner.
I'm going to put him at 4.
At 4, okay.
Because I feel like you're going to pull someone I'm not going to like. I'm going to have to put him dead last.
I think we know who that number 5 guy is going to be.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. So I'm going to go 4.
Okay. David Wright.
I will put him at 3.
Okay.
3.
Francisco Rodriguez, K-Rod.
Oh, I wish I could switch. I got that. I don't know if you're gonna pull. I don't know if you're gonna pull Utley, so I'm gonna have to put him at 2.
Curtis Granderson.
That's my number 1. Please tell me you're gonna give me Utley.
It's gonna be Ichiro. Watch.
Please don't be Ichiro. You're making me look bad.
This is the original Mets guys podcast. Carlos Beltran.
Oh, I guess 5. If I could alter that list, I would. This is why this is hard.
Yeah,
If I could alter it, I would.
Right.
So my number 1 is Granderson, and my number 5 is Beltran.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Great job, Metnews. Followers now 4. All right.
Let's really quickly. Let's go over some Giants stuff after we roll over this. We'll call it Daniel Jones to the Vikings. I think that's something that we all saw coming. What are your thoughts on Daniel Jones?
So I am a Giant fan, and I try to stick with him, and it just got to the point where he just got tremendously bad, and I think the pressure of New York got to him. But I do think there's other factors that came into his struggles, which I have been advocating the Giants to upgrade is the O-line. I've been saying this for years, and they just don't do it. They bring in these pieces. They had one guy, I think his name was Nate Soldier. He was on the O-line, and he was just absolutely terrible. This was, I think, when Daniel Jones was there.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that he got released. I'm glad he can go start a different chapter elsewhere. I hope he does do well. And I had to be done, but they have to get a quarterback. And honestly, I'm not that high on Shedeur Sanders for the draft, so I honestly would rather them sign Justin Fields or someone at that caliber just to suck it up for another year. And that kid from, I think he's from Boise State, the running back, I would rather go for him and then just go for and then go for the draft class in 26. But they'll end up taking Sanders is my guess, and I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. I just think he's overhyped in my opinion.
I actually think that they're going to go with Cam Ward.
Zick, I'm fine with that. If they did a different option of quarterback, I'm fine with that.
Right. I really like Cam Ward. But I agree. I would rather them draft Ashton Genty, sign a guy like Justin Fields for a year, and then 2026 draft class, which is I believe a much better quarterback draft class, and go out and get a quarterback there.
And I don't think they can experiment. Like, they've tried it already, and they do need one. But Justin Fields, I'm not saying he's proven, but He's been in the NFL. He's got experience, and he could play a little bit.
Daniel Jones, good riddance. Him going to the Vikings, I think, I find it interesting that he didn't go to a place where he would have a potential to start, like San Francisco or maybe even Dallas.
Or Las Vegas.
Or Vegas, yeah, but whatever, we have to move on. The Malik Neighbors interview, right, got a lot of attention, right? I'll tell you something. I know he called out. I could not listen to that interview because of the way he was chewing his gum.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It was hard. I mean, what are you doing? Close your mouth. I couldn't listen to it.
For everybody that knows, me and you, they know we cannot stand people that chew with their mouth open. So the second I opened that video and started watching it, I turned it off. I waited for somebody to tweet out exactly what he said. And then, but this is Malik Neighbors. This was him, in his draft interviews where he said, he doesn't handle getting the ball, he doesn't handle not getting the ball well, which, personality issues, whatever. But, that's who you have, and that's who you're going to have to deal with. You're going to have to get him the ball. He's by far your best player on offense. Not giving him the ball doesn't make any sense. So I'm with him. I understand why he's upset, and I'm not angry at him for being upset that he didn't get the ball.
Like you said, that interview bothered me. I think for him, he seems pretty greedy to me so far, and I get it. He wants the ball. Dable even said to him, you can't be saying that, and he tried to make some type of apology statement, whatever. So I get it. They're losing. He doesn't like to lose. He said that during the interviews before he got drafted when they sat down in the room that he doesn't like to lose, and I don't blame him. But, let's see what he could do with a real quarterback when they come in.
Yeah. Again, I don't know what he said because of the way he was chewing his gum. So I have nothing. I have no comment to say. I just want to say one thing. By the way, Omar Vizquel. Go back there for a second. 11 Gold Gloves. Whoa. And his season from 89 until 2012, right? So he played until he was 45 years old. He had only 190 errors. His fielding percentage was 99%, 98.5% fielding percentage.
What's some of the offensive numbers?
He was an offensive guy. With offensive numbers, he batted 270.
That's not bad, though.
I batted 270. Didn't hit for power. Didn't hit for power. I don't even know where. I gotta go back to other stats, but now I'm in the advanced metrics part of it. I can't see. I had 80 career home runs, 951 RBIs. He wasn't an offensive guy, but 190 errors over. I'm bad at math from 89 to 2012. Omar Vizquel, Hall of Famer, defense. That's it.
I like it.
Yeah, well, I want to ask you guys one more. I want to ask you one more thing, Father. I want to ask, what do you think is the Giants' biggest need going into the offseason?
They need to figure out the defensive
everything.
everything. But the problem is they're going to have a high draft pick, and I don't think there's a guy who's worthy drafting number 2 as a cornerback or a safety or anyone over there. So they're going to have to go, either they're probably going to go quarterback. That's what I'm guessing. They're probably going to go quarterback. But they need to figure out they have nobody in the defensive backs. They have, you can pass on them all day and all night and all Thanksgiving, as we saw.
I do want to say, I know you're going to close out. I really just want to say I appreciate you guys letting me come on. I love what you guys are doing. You definitely inspired me to possibly create my own podcast. I've been trying for years. I just haven't found a platform to do it on. But the duo that you guys are doing is great, and I'm going to help you guys promote it. I'm going to definitely shout you out to build it up for you guys, and it's going to be great.
Let's get a selfie before we close out here.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's do it. Let me. We're gonna do a selfie on while we're recording.
Recording stuff.
So let's do this. All right.
Let's go.
So, just thank you very much for coming on. We appreciate it to no end.
For sure, bro. It was totally fun, and like I said, to converse with other Met fans is awesome, and just thank you for reaching out, and I'm happy to do it.
All right, thanks a lot, Brady. I appreciate you coming on also, and by the way, your stuff is great. As long as you stay away from trading for Devin Williams, I think we'll have a long-lasting relationship.
I just want to say, everybody, thank you very much for showing up and showing out. Just remember to subscribe. Let us comment. Remember what we said. We want to hear from you guys. DMs are always open. And go to shoptheshirt.com. Use the code OMGPod and get 5% off. Sounds like a great deal. And we'll see you guys next week.
Let's go, Mets.
Let's go, Mets.